now I'd like to call up the man behind the first short we watched, The Inheritance. The man, he was the director, he was also the devil himself, Mr. Craig Knitt. Come on up, Craig.
Hooray!
Here you go, Craig.
Thank you guys for being such an awesome audience for that. I mean, I love the responses, and it's really, as a filmmaker, you never really know, you think you know what's funny, and it's like, oh, okay, that's great. And I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but the guy who played the grandfather in that is actually a pretty big-time dude. He won the Sundance Film Festival before it was ever called the Sundance Film Festival. That's John Jost. He's an experimental filmmaker known around the world. And he was staying at the Waiwiga Opera House for like a month, doing all this strange filmmaking stuff. And lo and behold, I got him to be the grandfather in my script. It was so cool. And the wild turkey comment, that was his. Also, the comment about it helps to be dead, that was his too. And we laughed at both of those lines. It was so great to see that. But the whole film was kind of inspired by, I was listening to the radio and I heard Elton John in an interview. And he talked about how he just had lost a friend. And he would give up all of his fame and all of his fortune if he had one more conversation with his friend. And I'm like, well, that's a really nice thing for us to say in those situations. But what happens if you really get called out on it? And that's what happens in this story. And if you make a deal with the devil, well, he's always going to try to screw you. So always have one up on the devil if you can. That's a pretty cool way of doing it. Any questions about the movie at all? It did premiere in Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago, and in Waiwiga last week, it played in the very same theater that it was shot in. That was so cool because it's like people were looking behind them and it's like, wow, that's the same location we're in. I gotta see if I can find those horns so I can do interviews with those horns on. That'd be great.
What about that? Was that wallet yours?
Yeah, and I actually, my real wallet's falling apart and I'm ready to switch, and maybe the devil's wallet will be my wallet from here on. And the devil's wallet's got just enough change to pay for everything. Doesn't that suck? He's just gonna spill out as much change as you need and a couple dollars. I thought that was the perfect asshole thing that the devil could do. We have a question back there?
How long did it take to shoot?
We shot that in a day, and honestly, it should have taken half the time that it did. But we got lit by the time we were done because John Jost is like, yeah, we want to have real whiskey in the thing, and the first shot he took wasn't real, obviously. So he slammed that first shot, and then Ian poured him another one. And he'd take a sip out of that, and then he'd be like, all right, take number 2. He's like, what do I do with this? And he slid it over to me, and I'm like, I'll take that. Woo, and it's gone. And, God, I had some really witty banter written out for the devil, but by the time we got to that, I couldn't remember my lines. I couldn't, but I got the essence of the devil, don't you think?
Yeah.
I really kind of tried to capture that, so that was a lot of fun. Any other questions? Back there. Lance.
Will he be back?
I don't know.
Well, I think you just came up with the title, The Devil's Wallet.
The Devil's Wallet is a tricky thing, that's for sure.
That'd be a good movie.
I think that would be. Well, and again, I felt I was a little hesitant to enter it into the film festival here because I know this is a true horror festival. But darn it, I think sometimes we need that levity too, especially when we see a lot of really creepy horror or blood and guts everywhere. We need to see something that's a little bit goofy, yet it still has a solid story. That was what I really wanted to see, is a solid through story. And my buddy CJ, who played the main guy, that's one of his favorite performances that he's been in, and he's been in a lot of different movies before. He's like, I really love that movie. That's something about that. And it's like, awesome. That makes the guy feel really cool. You know, so thank you guys for being a wonderful audience with that. If you want to talk to me about it later on, I would love to chatter with you. Otherwise, the next one, I don't know if any of you guys are tied to that or anything, but that was pretty amazing too. Let's hear it for that next film.